I started playing music in about the 1st or 2nd grade. I got a keyboard for Christmas, and I remember I started taking lessons from a lady in my church, and music just got in my heart. And I remember it was about the age of 14 where I really got the music bug big time, and I had this, you know, the classic teenager wanting to be a rock star thing. And you know, what happened is, about the time I was 16, in 1995, God really started moving in my home church. And we went down to Pensacola, Florida, where God was moving. And the best way I can describe it is God just really, I encountered God in those meetings. And God touched me, and He completely changed my whole thought process as far as worship goes. Because as far as music goes, because here I was this 16-year-old kid dreaming of being a rock star, and now all of a sudden I go to these meetings in Pensacola, I encounter God, literally encounter God, and suddenly in a split second my life is changed, and now my heart's consumed with worship. I mean, literally a split second earlier, I'm thinking about running across the stage with lights and guitars and, you know, and that whole thing, and that's awesome and it's cool. But now all of a sudden God He gets in my heart, and He changes my heart, He turns my heart, and now all of a sudden all I can think about is worship, and leading people into worship, and lifting up the name of the Lord. So, and it happened in a split second, and this song, Hallelujah, I even write about it in the verse where it says, in the presence of the King, one time it changes everything. And in the morning when I rise, on you, oh Lord, I'll fix my eyes. Oh, so take me away, Lord. Take me away. Well, in 1998, I was living in Pensacola, Florida, my wife and I, and God just really began to speak to us at this time in our life. And the first thing is that He gave us a promise. And in this promise, He promised us a son, and that his name would be Samuel. And that promise, we didn't know it then, but that promise set the stage for the next 10 years of our lives. And the second thing that God did in that time in our lives is I picked up this booklet, and I was reading this booklet. It was worship scriptures for worship leaders. And in this booklet, John 4:23 through 24 just exploded off the page to me. And the part in that scripture that says the kind of worshipers that the Father seeks just leapt into my heart. And all of a sudden, I am just, you know, exploding with this realization that, you know, God's not just sitting in heaven receiving our worship, but God is up there actively seeking worshipers. And I remember saying to God, God, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know what he looks like. I don't know anything about him. But all I know is that I'm not it right now. And God, right now, I want to be that guy. Lord, right now, I want to be that true worshiper. Right now, Lord, I want you to touch me, change my life, make me new. Right now, God, I want to be it.
Your great and mighty name right now I sing.
Well, it was in 2002, in January, that God really thrust my wife and I into this journey of being a true worshiper. And two things happened. The first thing that happened is in January, my wife's dad died. Suddenly, all of a sudden, he's gone. And that just, it was like all hell broke loose in our lives. And this series of events started happening where God was teaching us that no matter what happens, I'm still holy. I'm still worthy. And the second thing that happened is about 2 months after her dad passed away, we lost twins. My wife was pregnant with twins. And I remember sitting in that hospital room and with a promise from God for a son. And I remember just putting my head in my hands and saying, God, I don't know what's going on right now, but Lord, I worship you. I love you. You're awesome. And God, I just want to be with you. And I remember God saying, Aaron, this is it. This is true worship.
You're my hero, you are grace. You're the author and the finisher of my faith. I wanna be with you. I wanna dance in open fields of grace with you. I wanna open up my heart and breathe in you.
So at this point in our lives, my wife and I we are at this low of lows. And we were really beginning to question the promise of God. God, did he really promise us that we would have a son? We were just at this low place where we couldn't go any lower. And at that place, it was at that moment when we reached that low that all of a sudden the promise comes. We find out that Holly's pregnant again. And in about 8 months into the pregnancy, God totally confirmed His promise to us. I was leading worship at a conference where this lady was speaking. We had never met before. And I went out on stage. I led worship. After worship, she says, come here, I've got a word for you. And she says to me, with the birth of this son, God says that he was a Samuel. And she knew nothing. And it was just God confirming, saying, listen, I don't care what you've been through. I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. I will never let you go. Because I'm Emmanuel, I can't.
Every king will bow down.